Kia ora students, this is the tutorial for how to write a point when you are writing a written text essay. On this slide you can see our complete paragraph. This isn't broken down into sentences, this is the whole thing. I'm going to read that out to you now, but you can skip forward if you don't want to listen, or you can just pause it and read it for yourself. In the opening lines of the poem, Owen introduces readers to the horrible sights of the front line in World War I. Owen writes that the men are walking through the mud of the front line till on the haunting flares we turned our backs. This description of the soldiers silhouetted against a grim backdrop by the flares opens the reader's eyes to the grimness of the setting. Owen's poetry provides a clear description of the environment of World War I, providing clear commentary to accompany the many photos we have of this time. While we have these photos now, at the time the civilians back home were unaware of the terrible conditions soldiers had to withstand. When we look at photos from World War I, we can see that Owen was giving a voice to an important issue on behalf of all soldiers. So now we're going to look at how I actually came up with that point. So if you think back to the question, remember that we are arguing that the setting of Dulce et Decorum Est is important because it communicates the horrors of the war to the public. So our first point from our plan is that basically setting is important because it paints a picture for the reader. So that's our first paragraph. In the opening lines of the poem, Owen introduces readers to the horrible sights of the front line in World War I. That is our point for the first paragraph. I've basically taken the what I'd written in the plan and just formalised that. I've told you when in the poem it's happening. Just need to get my pointer so you can see in the opening lines of the poem, so that tells us when it's actually happening. And I've told you the purpose of the poem, the horrible sights of the front line in World War I. So this point does two things. It tells the reader why the setting is important, and that's this part here. And it tells us what point in the poem we are talking about, and that is the opening lines. So really straightforward, communicates a lot of information in a short space of time, and sticks very closely to the question. The horrible sights of the front line, that is setting, and the question is about setting. That's it. Now it's time for you to go and write your own point for your own practice essay. Remember, you can pause, you can rewind, fast forward, write down notes and questions. This is all about being flexible for you. So onwards and upwards. Once you've written your own point, then it's time to look at the example tutorial.